Hey you guys, thanks for joining me. The following video is a workshop that I did, which was hosted by my dear friend Ashley Robbins, and it's called Unforgettable Intros. In this workshop, I teach you how to do the intros to your songs while you're on stage. So no more sounding and looking like a tree. I don't want to teach you any scripts. I want you to use your own personality, your own individual way of setting up your songs so that people remember who you are, and it keeps your show going, and it keeps people excited and engaged, and it actually helps them fall in love with you. So stick around and check that out.
Because I really think that this is going to be a huge moment for you all here. So, without any further ado, Monique B. Thomas is going to take us on a ride.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. This is why this is special to me, is because uh, I've always wanted to be a part of a community of singers, of high-level singers, professional singers who actually transmit their expertise to other people. Because otherwise, then it just sort of dies with us, and I think that's a shame. I think that excellence should be shared. Knowledge is not to be kept alone; it's to be shared and to be elevated. Because no matter what you do, when you give somebody information, everybody's so very different that that information will be done in a different, it will be used in a different way. So the whole point of today's workshop, it's called the Unforgettable Intros workshop, is to help you learn how to speak during your shows. Because I know you all spend lots of time, money, and energy, getting that voice together. And then you get on stage, and then sometimes you're like, oh, now what do I do now? What do I say now? And there's, crickets, dead silence, or just awkwardness. And there was a time in my career where it was very awkward for me, even though I do have the gift of gab, I will say that. But there was a time when it was just very, very awkward. And, so it's kind of like a roller coaster, because the song goes great, everything goes great, people are clapping, and then what do I do now? Right. And so when I finally figured it out, I said, you know what? I really can't keep this for myself, because I get tired of seeing other people who are uncomfortable on stage. Like, they're totally killing their show, and then they kill their show, with the intros. And it's almost like this next song, and this next song, and this next song, and this next song. It's like, how many times can you say that? Right. And so people are expecting us to be polished, and we should expect that from ourselves. And so that is what today's workshop is all about. So I'm going to go in and share my screen. If you give me just a second. Okay, I got to open that back up again because it's hiding from me. Let me find that. There we go. All right, so I got to close that out. Sometimes Zoom doesn't want to do what I want it to do when I want to do it. Okay, there we go. So can you all see that? Okay, so that little person in the bottom left, that is you. Help. You're stuttering, you're sweating. And if you look in the audience, you've got people who are happy because they love what you just did. You've got people who are concerned because you look concerned. And we do know that emotions do transmit, they're contagious. You got people that are probably on their phone. You got people who are, tired. You got a little bit of everything in the public. But our job is to make everybody feel at home and feel at ease and put them on the same page that you're going to take them on a ride. So without further ado, let's get into this. So here are the workshop goals for today. I want you to learn how to introduce your songs uniquely and authentically, and build connections with audiences. That's important, because if you don't connect really with your audience, you can forget about them coming back to see you, or buying your merchandise, or telling other people about you, which is actually the best form of publicity you can possibly have. I also want you to know that this is a safe and supportive environment. So you can feel safe to try the things out that we're going to do. And for those of you that want to try this out, I will be doing some live coaching towards the second half of our workshop. So why do song introductions matter? Or I should say, why do unforgettable song introductions matter? First of all, they create a smooth transition from one song to the next, which is important. They set up the ambiance for the next song. So you're actually preparing your audience to listen to the next song. They help you build genuine and valuable connections with your audience by putting them at ease. How often have you gone to a concert and literally fell in love with the person that you listened to? You're just like, oh my gosh, everything about that show was just magic. And you're just like, after the concert, you may, if you're like me, when you fan out, you go and find everything you can about that person. You listen to every song, every album, every clip, you Google everything because they made such a strong impression on you. When somebody does that, that means you've created like a fan for life, and that is very valuable. Helping to build and maintain audience interest. Now, we know in the time of social media that audience interest is it's valuable, and it's not the easiest thing to get. So once you get it, you want to keep it. Helps to establish you as a confident and an accomplished artist. And when somebody books you somewhere, they are trusting you. They're trusting you with their venue and their audience. And so it's like saying, if you mess up the show, you actually make them look bad, and nobody wants to look bad. So this kind of establishes you as like a sure thing. Like, because here's the thing, when you get one gig, if you're good, you often get other gigs from that one gig. And that's what you guys want to be shooting for. You want to make sure that you're not doing one-off gigs, but creating other opportunities through each opportunity. Does that make sense? So what you're really doing is you're telling a story through your set list. So the types of songs that you choose, that tells a story. And then how you tell a story to weave them together, that also tells a story. And that's how people begin to fall in love with you and your artistry. And so that's what we're going to work on today. So here's a part that I think okay, there we go. Here's a part that us artists, we don't really like to talk about, but storytelling is actually selling something. And I know as an artist, the word selling feels kind of yucky. It feels icky. It's like I'm selling my soul. And that's not really what we want to do. But despite that fact, that's really what it is. You're selling something. But selling doesn't mean that it's gross or you're betraying your artist self. It just means that you're giving a point of view and you want people to understand or at least take a look at your point of view. So your ideas, your point of view, and your unique personality. So now the key elements of a good story is the beginning, the middle, and the middle is the problem or the conflict, and the end or the solution. Okay. And that is my daughter who just walked by. Yes, you were on camera. And so we need all of those in when we tell a story. So let's look at the beginning. And I know this all seems very rudimentary for now, and it actually is quite simple when you get down to it. The beginning, what are you talking about? What is this story about? The middle of the conflict, why are you talking about it? So why is it important to you, the thing you're talking about? And what's the problem? What is the thing that gets you or that made you talk about it? If it's worth talking about. And then the end is what happened and how do you feel about it, or what will you do about it? Now, how many of you, when you do your concerts, you think of storytelling to introduce your songs? You can either raise a hand, or if somebody wants to talk, I can see you on the sides. Do you all do concerts? Do you all perform live? Yeah, yeah.
So I just had a show on Saturday and like
Oh,
I
good.
tried my best to kind of come up with something to like say because I'm naturally more introverted.
Okay.
And I noticed like I was able to do probably like maybe two of those things you have on the list, but like to fully make it full circle, I think that's gonna take a little more work for me.
Yeah. Now it'll take a little bit of work, but it's not nearly as much work as you think it is. It's just doing the right things. And today I'm going to give you the right things. Now here's the key. Again, it's what I talked about earlier. I'm going to give you the things that you need to be doing systematically. And once you get used to it, you'll see that it's rather easy, but also you'll see that even though I'm going to give you all the same things, you won't do them in the same way, which is always nice because we don't want any copycats here. I'm not going to give you a script. Won't be any scripts. So if you're looking for a script, this is not the right workshop for you. I don't do scripts. We don't do scripts. We want to do things that adapt to your natural personality because that's how you're going to be your best. Okay. So I came up with something I call 4WC, and it's simply who, what, when, why, and C is context. So context is a social or political or economical background. So what does that mean? When you are preparing your set list, you do the order of songs. I want you guys to take some time, and if these are cover tunes, I want you to take some time and research every single song, every single song. Because, and the reason why every single song, you might actually not introduce every song, but as you do this research, you're going to find certain elements, or let's say historical facts or things that stick out to you. Like, for example, who the song was written for, who the song was written by, why the song was written, during what period of time it was written, because that would change. So, for example, if we could say that this is a love story and it was written during the Prohibition period, that might be a very different love story than if it were written during the Vietnam War. You see what I mean? So the background of what was going on during that period is going to color how you talk about the story and how people feel receive it. Um, if I were to write a song today with a lot of the political unrest that's going on in the States, because even though I'm in France, I am American, there's a lot to talk about, right? That brings in a lot of complexity to it, and it helps other people to understand either why the song was written or why I might choose this particular song. Now, here's what I want you to do when you do this exercise. I want you to pay attention to the things that stick out to you, to the details that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or that's really interesting, because those are the details that are going to make it easier for you to talk about it, right? And here's the thing, it might not always be the same thing. Um, it might not always be the same details that stick out to each of you, you know? Now, as you do your research, you're not going to have to talk about everything because, to be honest with you, a song introduction, it shouldn't be very long for the most part. Typically, my song introductions can go from 30 seconds to about a minute 30. That's on the longer end. And again, that's going to depend on some other elements that we'll talk about later. Um, but you want to think about all of these different things, okay? Does anybody have any questions about that, what I just said? That's pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So once you finish your research, the key is to reveal how you feel about the song. So I talk a lot about this being about your point of view. People getting to know you and connect with you, that's how they really connect, is knowing what your point of view. It's not just, okay, I'm going to sing a song about women's rights, but why am I singing a song about women's rights? How do I feel about this particular thing? And that's how they get to know you, and that's how they connect with you, and that's key to your success. So what I'm going to do, oh yeah, the important thing about these intros is that you know yourself. And I find a lot of times um, we don't actually spend the time to think about what we think about something. We just give the facts. But adding in the layer of why I'm talking about this gets really interesting, right? So, um, knowing yourself, knowing like what your personality is. Like, for example, I tend to be a little bit of a trickster. I'm funny. I tend to be funny. I know you probably haven't seen that yet because I'm trying to get through certain material right now. But I tend to be a jokester. So, for example, if I'm annoyed because somebody's on their phone or somebody's phone keeps ringing, I might say like, "Hey, don't worry about it. You can turn your phone back on at the end of the concert." And it's kind of a smart alecky way of like, turn off your doggone phone, but it's done in a way that's kind of fun and it's not necessarily belittling or something like that. And at the same time that I can play around with people, I also have a vulnerable side. I can be very vulnerable and really say how I feel, and I'm comfortable with that. What's important to you is knowing how you are, so you know how you're going to be when it comes to doing this. So knowing thyself is one of the most important things that you can do. Before I go on, I meant to mention what I would love for you to do is, if during this class you find something to be sort of like, wow, that kind of blew my mind, or I hadn't thought of that. I'd love for you guys to go into the chat and just put a light bulb and write what that moment was. Does that make sense? So just go in and use the emoji, the light bulb emoji, and just write in, hey, the thought of using 4WC, that, that never occurred to me. Write it in there, because that's going to help you remember these things, because I don't think there's going to be a replay for this class. So you want to remember this stuff. Okay? All right, so as I move on, here we go. Here's just a few, before we actually do the exercise, here's a few practical tips for your delivery. You might not know this, but it's actually okay to be nervous. It's actually okay. You can actually tell your audience, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit nervous today because this is the first time I'm presenting this music to an audience, a live audience. I've only rehearsed it for months with my band. And, I really want this to go well. And let's face it, you guys are kind of great. So I want this to go well. While telling my audience that I'm a little bit nervous, it sort of lowers the pressure. It's like, oh, okay, she's human. Because people tend to think that singers are like these superhuman people and they don't make mistakes and they don't mess up and they don't get nervous. It's actually okay. And so now it's not that you're lowering the bar, but you do let people know that you're human. And actually, again, that's another way to sort of connect with your audience. If you make a mistake or you stutter, just keep going. You don't have to say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I stuttered. Or you could if you wanted to make a joke about it, but you want to make sure you're not making jokes about your mistakes all the time. You don't want to be all the time self-deprecating, because you always want to come off as if you're confident. And I want to talk a little bit about confidence. Think about when you fly, right? You get on the plane and you'll see the steward or stewardess, and often you'll see the pilot. And what do? They shake your hand and they look you in the eye and they welcome you aboard. Now, that may seem like just a formality, but to be honest with you, it's kind of nice to know who's in charge, right? Imagine getting on a plane and somebody, the stewardess or the pilot shakes your hand and says, "Hi, I'm this person and I hope we make it." Oh my gosh, that would be a little uncomfortable. And what I see often in concerts is people, they're like that, because you have to remember, when you are leading the show, you're the pilot of that plane. And so you have to put people at ease. You've got to make them feel comfortable. And the only way they're going to feel comfortable is if they feel like you know what you're doing. Okay? One other thing you might want to do is try to keep things conversational. So just imagine you're talking to a friend, so if you're talking to a friend and you're telling them a story, it's not a big pomp and circumstance. It's just real casual. And I find that works a lot better unless you are playing a role. And what I mean by playing a role, if you're doing, it depends on the type of show that you're doing. Maybe you're doing a show where, let's say you're kind of like an MC or a circus, and you're like, ladies and gentlemen, now on the stage or whatever. That's more of a role. I'm not really talking about that. I'm just talking about a regular old show where you're running things and you're introducing your own songs, okay? So you want to just keep it conversational, and you want to talk at a moderate speed. Another thing that people tend to do is they tend to talk way too fast and they don't breathe and they don't pause. And what winds up happening is your audience also forgets to breathe because they're like, And so everybody's nervous and everybody's on edge. So you've got to take some time and most likely, especially if you're not comfortable with this, most likely talk slower than you think you should. Now, one other thing you can do, and this you'll have to work out with your band, is for some of the songs, you can have music in the background to play. Now, you've got to make sure the music is not too loud or too distracting. But let's say you're playing with bass, drums, piano, and guitar. You might want to do more of a for depending on the song. Let's say it's an intimate song, you might just want to have one instrument. Let's just say a guitar just playing some light arpeggios or a riff or something just very intimate. You want to make sure you're not fighting with the music to be heard, right? Or let's say you're telling more of a dramatic story and maybe your intro is a bit longer. In this case, you might have the rhythm section play some sort of like funky riff that sort of sets up the story. And then as the story goes along, the music might get a little bit louder. It might get louder and softer depending on your story. So this is something you can play around with your band. And that's, again, it's going to set the mood. It's going to get people ready to listen to your singing. Because by the time you finish that intro, they're like, I can't wait to hear this song. I cannot wait, right? Use your imagination. Now, your imagination is going to be a big part of this because you can actually learn to connect two seemingly unrelated things together. I do it all the time, and comedians do it all the time as well. And you're like, where is this going? And then when you wind up connecting them, people are like, oh my gosh, that was so clever, right? So as you do your research, you're going to see that there might be ways that you could connect two different things that normal people wouldn't find a connection for. And as musicians, we're creative anyway. So that's kind of like par for the course. And the other thing is, don't feel bad if in the beginning this feels really awkward and you feel like, oh, I'm just really bad at this. Because you might be really bad at it in the beginning, but you will get better if you practice. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. It actually says 15 minutes, but I'm going to set a timer for, I'm going to set it for 15 minutes. And I'm going to have you, first of all, choose a song that you'd like to introduce. And you're going to use the 4WC formula. Now let's go back to that 4WC formula. You don't have to fill in all of these questions, who, what, why, when, and context. That is a skeleton. It's a starting point. It's just to give you enough information to find something that's really interesting. So first of all, in the chat, can you all write for me which song, just choose one song you'd like to research, because I'm going to put some time on the clock, and you're going to just use Google and look up some things, and you're going to write down all the things that you find interesting about that song. And then we're going to go practice talking about the song. Okay? So go ahead and write in the chat box. Don't forget to write down, you know what I'll put in the chat. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to copy that and put that in the chat for you, what the 4WC is, so that you have it. Here we go. That way you remember what that is. And okay, if I should lose you, Nina Simone, let me see your other stuff. East of the Sun, West of the Moon. So I see we got some jazz singers in here. Okay. Shackles, Mary Mary. Okay, cool. And oh, whoa. I don't know what that is. Neek, would you mind coming on camera? I'd love to see your lovely face. Neek, could you come on camera? It's easier to talk to you if I can see you. I just would love for you to tell me a little bit about your song, if that's possible. Oops, I didn't put that in the regular chat. I sent that too. Let me put that here. Okay, maybe not. There you go. Oh, okay, she said 1 second. Okay, great. And then Alita, I'd love to see your face as well. And then I'll put some time on the clock and let you guys work. So while I'm waiting for Neek to come in, just keep in mind, write down plenty of things, but really keep your brain alert for the details that you find like really interesting or like, wow, I didn't know that. The hidden details. Because think about it, when you're telling a story, the things that's interesting to you, you're going to tell it in a different way. Does that make sense? If you're like, imagine you're giving a tour of a house and it turns out that the house used to be rented by one of the Rolling Stones. I just pulled that out of thin air. That's kind of an interesting thing to say, right? You're renting, you're showing people this house and like, by the way, this house was rented by the Rolling Stones in the 1950s as they were just learning how to play the guitar. And in this room, probably in this room back here, that gives a certain charm to this building now that I'm trying to rent or sell, right? So it's the same thing with your songs. Remember I said you're actually selling something. So, um, I'm still waiting for Neek to come on real quick. I'm just curious as to, or you can write it in the chat. I'm curious what the, oh wow, hello there. Can you unmute yourself?
Sure, sorry.
Can you tell me a little bit about your song? I've never heard of it.
Oh, I don't really know how to describe the genre, but I guess it's more like an ode to someone who just causes a lot of anxiety, causes a lot of frustration. And this person, Claude the God, is the artist who had to just really get it off on the track. And I feel like it's a very raw and powerful song, honestly.
Cool. What does that stand for? I guess it's a
Oh, it's You Get On My Damn Nerves. That's what it's.
I should have known that one. Okay, I love it. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the time on the clock. You guys, 15 minutes should be enough. Remember, you're not trying to write a book. You're just trying to get, let's say, 3 to 5 things that really stick out to you. And it can be the date, but it doesn't have to, unless the date is like really interesting, unless that date has something to do with why it's interesting that the song was written at that time, you don't necessarily care about the date. Or, you know what I mean? Like if it were written during the 20s, what things were going on during the 20s. And so then it would be relevant. But if you don't feel that the date is relevant, then don't mention it. So keep your details down to what you feel is relevant and exciting and interesting. Okay, so I'm putting some time on the clock. Let me just put that up real quick. Oops, 15. And what you can do is just put a thumbs up in the chat when you guys are done, and you can turn off your video, and I'll see you guys in 15 minutes, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. Okay. Off this music. There we go. All right. So how's everybody doing? First, I'd like to ask, is this the first time you've done research in order to present your songs? Yeah? Okay, so that in itself is kind of new. Yeah, what about you, Diane?
Yeah, to that extent, definitely.
Yeah. So did you guys come up with some things you're like, oh wow, I've been singing this song for like 10 years and I didn't know that. Like, why did I not know that thing? You know what I mean? Ava, is it Ava? Eva? How do I pronounce it?
However,
Where are you from?
I'm from Slovakia,
Slovakia. Okay. Yeah.
but I live in Germany.
Okay.
Okay, so I picked the song because I'm learning a new song. I just decided to learn one song per week
Okay,
for
good.
this year, just to push my repertoire.
Good for
And this
you.
week, I'm working with East of the Sun, West of the Moon.
Okay.
And I never studied the song before. I just knew the record from Diana Krall, and I loved it.
Okay.
And now I open the Wikipedia, and my goodness. So it was written by a person called Brooks
Wait,
Brown.
wait.
Okay.
Okay. I love that you're super excited. but I don't want you to talk to me as if
Okay.
not this is not a history class. I actually want you to
Mhm.
do the introduction as if we're listening to
Ah,
you, right?
okay.
Right? Okay? Because that's the whole point of it. But I love that you got excited about it because that's good. That's good because if you get excited, you'll make it easier for us to get excited. So
Okay.
imagine you just played a song, and now your next song is this one. So
Okay.
you can go ahead and start.
Um, okay. This news, I don't like this next song. Um, Imagine that you are a natural born talent, that you can write amazing songs without any musical education. And then you write these three beautiful songs, you publish it, the song becomes a hit. Your songs are played in Princeton Best Club, and people are coming from all over the country to listen to your songs. And you never studied any music. What an amazing person. Somebody like this really lived in 1930s and he studied in Princeton, just a boy from somewhere, I don't know where in the States. And before he could hit this amazing career, which was expecting him, because even, who was it? Nat King Cole? No, even Cole Porter, sorry. Even Cole Porter was charmed by his music. He died in a car accident
Oh, wow.
in his age of 23 years.
Wow.
But this song will always stay in the hearts of so many people. And it's full of joy and love and promise of a fantastic future. And the name of the song is East of the Sun, West of the Moon. And the name of the writer is Brooks Broman. So, Brooks, this is for you.
Nice. I like that. Okay, I love it. And I love you said something that I was going to address, but you already addressed it. You said, I don't want to say this next song. Yeah, because we tend to always say that, that's like
Mm-hmm,
this next song, this next song. Love how you did that. Let's see if we can get that to be a little smoother.
mm-hmm. I
Um,
was not prepared. I
no,
thought,
I
okay.
completely threw you on the spot because I wanted to see from your research, how are you going to pull it together? And here's the thing, you're going to do this introduction many times. You'll do it different each time. I think that's the magic of it, is because you can then react to how you're feeling that day. On certain days, some of the information that you looked up is going to speak to you more than on other days. Or if you're like me and your memory is kind of waning, certain days you remember stuff more than others. And so you go with that. But I love how you started with mystery.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about this person that made these hit songs that never was educated. It's like, wow, who is this person? You know, I love how you did it. Let's see if we can get it even to be smoother. What if you started from a different angle?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tell you which angle to start from. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna let you try it.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay, let me just think about.
Sure.
Okay, so I was maybe 19, maybe 20, when my one of my best friends gave me this new CD, and he said, like, you have to hear this singer. I was like, hey, okay, who is she? Blonde girl. I don't trust blonde girls normally as singers because I love jazz. And well, she didn't look like a jazz singer, but then I put the CD on and I was like, what the voice, so deep, so smooth, such a lovely smooth feel in it, but so strong still. And the piano, wow. Obviously, this lady was playing the piano herself, and it was Diana Krall. And it was a start of a big love affair of me and Diana. Well, she doesn't know about me, unfortunately, but I don't mean a emotional love affair, but musical love affair. And I've been listening to her a lot, and she really introduced me to jazz, and I started singing jazz after hearing Diana. And I especially loved one song from her, talking about how nice it would be to live together in the sunshine and the moonshine and share. And little did I know how tragic is the background of this lovely song, because it was written by somebody who died before he could even live this kind of dream, because he died age 23 on the way to a party in Hollywood. His name was Brooks Broman. I've never heard the name before, but for me, he's a hero who could write this amazing, lovely song without having any musical education.
What's the name of the song?
And the name of the song is East of the Sun, West of the Moon.
Great, great. Okay, so you can, I love, there's so many things that we could do with you. First of all, I just realized that you're funny. You're funny. He's like, I'm not a stalker, but I really do love, Diana Krall. I thought that was funny, and getting to see that side of you is like, okay, so she's funny. I like that about her.
Mm-hmm.
You started from a completely different angle. So you seem to be very comfortable turning things around. Would you say that that's true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that. So sometimes you have to do what I call editing. Sometimes you have to make a choice. Because you went from that angle, it actually wasn't necessary to say much about the songwriter, believe it or not. You could have just, this next song, I fell in love with her, and I love what you said about, not trusting blonde singers, jazz singers. That was also very funny. And you said, and I fell in love with her. I mean, I'm not a stalker or anything, and she doesn't know about me, but I know about her. But anyway, this particular song really marked me. Here is East of the Sun and West of the Moon. Boom.
Okay.
Get in, get out. Because sometimes we start to add more things to it that while they're interesting to us, they aren't necessary to set up the song. It doesn't necessarily add more. So I feel like either go the route where you're going to talk about the composer and the fact that, his life was interesting and he had training, or you talk about your love affair, non-love affair with Diana Krall, and that's enough. And find other ways to say the name of the song is, it's made me spend some time. I usually say, here is boom. And it's like it's a way to sort of finish it all and just make it very clear that now we're getting into the song.
Okay.
Any thoughts about that?
Maybe because I was so perplexed by the story of the composer, I wanted still to have it in, because it's so new and shocking, I must say. But yeah, I absolutely get you that maybe sometimes restricting a little bit to one, maybe one way is better than putting too much.
Right. And this is where we all have to be vigilant. It's what I call editing. And it's hard to edit on the spot. Usually we'll wind up making this mistake, all of us, at sometimes. Like, there's so many interesting things. You really have to just choose one or two, usually one, and then stick with it. And the one that comes out first, it's like, okay, well, today that's what it's going to be. And maybe the next day you'll tell the other interesting story. Right. But I thought you did a really good job. Do you have any questions, or how did you find this exercise?
I must say I'm always struggling because I don't speak in my mother tongue, neither when I perform, because I perform in Germany and I have to speak in German. And it's so cumbersome to be casual in a language which is not your language. So that's my problem. Otherwise, it was very good to try it without preparation, because sometimes what if somebody asks for a song and you have to start without preparation? You have to give some introduction without having it in your mind. So
you said a couple of things I'd love to address. First of all, not having the preparation. You had the preparation of doing the research, and I'm all for that being mostly the only preparation you do, so that you can keep your introductions fresh. Nobody wants to hear somebody talk in a way that's like, yesterday I said it this way and I'm going to say it exactly. We don't want scripts. We do not want scripts, because a script feels unnatural. It doesn't feel conversational. It feels very unnatural. And again, that's not going to help you connect with your audience. So if you're just talking, that's why I said if
Mm-hmm.
you stutter a little bit, it's no big deal because that can be natural when you're thinking. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing that you talked about is, speaking when you have to speak not in your native tongue. As an American living in France, I
Mm-hmm.
often have to do
Mm-hmm.
my introductions in French. And I'm also often working with French speakers who speak in English and it's not their native tongue. Just keep in mind that audiences are usually very forgiving when
Mm-hmm.
they know that you're not speaking your native language. They're happy that you're trying. So if you, in that case, if you keep it slow on the slower
Mm-hmm.
side, and also on the shorter side, because obviously, if you're talking super slow, like a kindergarten teacher, people are like, would you just get on with it? People will get a little impatient. But if you say, like what you said today, like the way you said that, I had no problems following you.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't annoyed and I wasn't put off. In fact, it's quite the opposite because the only other alternative is that you don't say anything to them.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? So people tend to be forgiving of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Great job, Ava. Great job.
Thanks.
Who would like to go next? Not everybody all at once. Diane.
Yeah, I pretty much knew I was a given because I got my camera on. But um, okay. Um, let's see. Okay, so y'all mind if I take y'all back to the year 2020? So let's imagine that we're just coming off the heels of Y2K and all the craziness that happened or was supposed to happen during that time. And we're entering a brand new millennium and a brand new century. It's now 2020 and everyone's wondering, what's going to be different about this time period than, 1900s, and we're waiting for something fresh and new. And here comes a brand new group called Mary Mary, which is a gospel duo, and they come out with this song called Shackles. And Shackles is basically a song that they use imagery to talk about having shackles on your feet, but then they're being broken, and they use it as imagery to describe like the obstacles and the struggles that we all go through. And they also said that in order to overcome those obstacles and struggles, they use their faith and they use praise to do so. So this is a very awesome song that took gospel by storm, but it also took mainstream by storm as well. It was able to cross over. And even now, 25 years later, people still sing the song, and it happens to appear on shows like Abbott Elementary, and things like that. So I'm gonna be singing this song, and I hope that you enjoy, and you take the shackles off your feet.
Oh, I love it. Good job. Good job.
Okay.
Here's what I would add to that. We'll add, why not keep the suspense of the name of the group and the song a little bit longer? Because when you start giving all this information about the song, people are like, they're automatically going thinking, do I know the song? You're engaging them. Do I know what song this is? I wonder if I know this song. I wonder if I know the group. Does that make sense? And so this engages them and it keeps them on the edge of their seat. It keeps on, and you can even sometimes you can do a thing where you're like, does this song sound familiar? Anybody know the name? You could even throw it out there. Anybody have an idea what the name of the song is? That's how you get people again off their phones, off of Instagram and be like, oh yeah, 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 I think I know this song. And some people start yelling out the names, which means they're engaged, you know. But I love that. I love how you did that. Now,
Yeah.
you're right. Shackles was a huge, I was in France when Shackles came out, and it was big here. They toured here. So it was a world hit. Let's try it again and let's see if you do it again. Try another angle. Try a different way. Now, again, when I'm saying try another angle, I'm not saying that what you did was wrong. I want you to leave here with options. I want you guys to know that there's not one way to do it. and that you can find different ways to do it. And actually, the more you do it, the more you will find different ways of doing it. There's no way that I could possibly show you all the ways there are that exist to introduce a song. As you
Mhm.
do it, you will get into your groove.
Mhm.
Try again.
Okay. All right. So you know how they say a good song is timeless? Um, the song I'm about to sing is one of those songs. It's a song that talks about taking shackles off your feet so that you can overcome obstacles and doing so with a measure of faith and a measure of praise that can lift you out of those circumstances. Does anybody have a clue of the song I might be talking about? Shackles off your feet. But in case you didn't know, it's by a very famous gospel group called Mary Mary. And they released this song about the year of 2020, and it's still going today, and many people enjoy it. And I hope that you enjoy it today as well.
And so what's the name of the song?
The song's called the song's called Shackles by Mary
All right.
Mary.
So if you're going to do it that way, because you use the name shackles, it might be interesting to then change the word that you're using to describe the condition. So instead of saying shackles on your feet, about your feet being bound,
Okay.
so that you don't give it away.
Yeah.
Just a thought. It wasn't wrong, you know.
Mhm.
I'm just adding in some more things. So let me ask you, you're a Christian based artist?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, good. So again, we get to know something about you. And so what I love about Christian-based artists, but not only Christian-based artists, when you're speaking, you have an opportunity to give a mini sermon or to leave people with bits of faith. You know, so
Yeah.
you can say, well, you know, you could tell us what this song meant to you, what it did for you, and you hope it does that for them too. You know, there's little
Yeah.
things that we can do as faith based artists, sorry, that sort of for those who are susceptible to understand the message, they'll get it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and so you can definitely use your introductions, maybe not every single song, but you can definitely use those introductions as little pieces of just little nuggets of faith-based, you know. Sometimes you might add in a scripture that ties in. I mean, obviously, that's kind of obvious, you know. But even if it's a song that is not necessarily Christian, do you sing secular music as well, or?
I sing from time to time. I sing like inspirational songs.
Right,
Hmm.
inspirational songs that still, you know, you can find a scripture that goes with it. You can tie that in. But so what's interesting about both of your introductions is that I get the chance to know you. I get the chance to know that Ava is funny, and I get the chance to know you seem like a serious person, but caring, you know.
That's a good way. I'm funny too, but I gotta be more relaxed. But yeah.
I get you. I get you. And of course, I would be willing to bet that if you had five more songs to introduce, we'd see your funny side.
Okay.
So this is fair, you know. Any thoughts or comments about this?
No, it was really good. Obviously I was nervous to do it, and especially when I had to do it again. But it is very helpful to practice in this way. And to like even think about um even the tips that you gave, like not telling the name of the song or having them guess who, you know, the artist or the song would be. Like that's something I probably wouldn't have thought to do, so that was good.
By the way, when you ask a question, give them a chance to respond.
Right. Right.
Anybody? Okay, and just tell them. No, it's like anybody. And if it's like crickets, there's a possibility for a joke. Like, okay, am I in the right? Are y'all Christians? You're just like, am I in the right audience? Are
Yeah.
y'all heathens? Like, I mean, now that again, that is my humor. You don't have to do that, but you know, I could say, am I in the right room? Did y'all come to hear Christian music? Because I mean, I can go. You know what I mean? If nobody's sort of vibing the thing that you're putting down. I'll have no problem saying when people don't seem to be connecting or they're not reacting the way I'm expecting them to react. I'll make fun of them.
Mhm.
Like, y'all are still breathing? Is anybody home? Lights on, nobody's home, that type of thing. But there's just so much we can do. Thank you so much, Diane. I want to
Thank you.
know, would Neek or Alita like to, because I don't know if we'll have time for both, but I'd like to try to squeeze you in if you'd like to. Neek, you want to give it a try?
Sure, sure. I will preface this with there isn't much history on the song because it's very new.
Okay.
But I did
But
try my
keep in
best.
mind, the 4WC is just a skeleton. It's just sort of to get you, what's the word I'm looking
Mindset?
Um, I can't think of the word. Um, it's a loose template to get you started so that you
Okay.
you have something to think about. But you can certainly most likely take this from the angle of what this song means to you. Like, where were you when you first heard it? Or, what effect it had on you when you first heard it? Or is this song, for example, is this song out of character for the person that wrote it? Or do they typically write songs like that? You see what I mean?
Okay. That's giving me good ideas to add to this, but I'll give you what I have first, and then we can like
Yeah,
workshop it, I guess.
sure, sure, sure.
So I start with now this one right here is a raw piece that I absolutely love. In a world where being an angry black femme is often met with scrutiny, gaslighting, and countless other micro macro aggressions, this artist lays down anger, rage, and anxiety over smooth synths that give the track a futuristic edge. Paired with their experimental vocal delivery, this song has truly become an anthem of resistance for me. So without further ado, this is UGOMDN, short for You Get On My Damn Nerves, by upcoming artist Chloe the God.
I just love that title. Okay, now you got to do this again because
Okay.
what you're not gonna do is read to me. Okay,
Okay, sorry.
that's okay. No, I don't want you to read because we don't want a script.
Okay,
I
okay, I
want
got
you to
it.
be you, and I know that I'm asking a lot. I know I'm asking a lot because it's like nerve wracking, like ga, 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 ga.
Yeah.
I want you to get in the habit of just treat me as your best friend, and you're just telling me, yo, this new song, you know, blah 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 blah. You get on my damn nerves. Oh, I don't mean you get on my damn. That's the name of the song. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. So there's this song that I absolutely love. It's relatively new. It came off of I think it got popular over TikTok and over like the underground scenes, but some maybe a lot of people don't know it, but it's such a raw song that lays down rage and anger and anxiety, and in a world where people do not accept that anger is a emotion that we all experience. The song feels like an anthem of resistance for me, and it's really calling back our power as black people. So without further ado, this is You Get On My Damn Nerves, shortened as UGOMDN by Chloe the God.
Yes. Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now let's look at the end of it. The end. We can tighten that up a little bit by
Okay.
um, why don't you say the name of the song is UG or my damn nerves, and
Yeah.
and and maybe say it in the way that you'd say to somebody if they was getting on your damn nerves. You know what I mean? Because that
Okay.
could add a little. Like
Make
you,
it more
huh?
personal.
You get on my damn nerves. Again, you don't have to do that like me. You have to do that like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can we
Okay.
try that ending again? But that was perfect. That was great.
Okay. And then let's see, let's see. Hmm. How would I do that? I'd probably say something like I feel like I'm overthinking it a little bit, but
That's
um,
normal. That's normal.
so without further ado, mm, I kind of don't even want to say that anymore. Hold on.
Well, then there's always here is.
Yeah. Here is UGOMDN, also known as You Get on My Damn Nerves by upcoming artist Chloe the God.
Right. Now, if you say UG, I can't remember all the darn letters. It's too many. But if you say that and you
Yeah.
follow with the title,
Mm.
you won't have to say you get also known as. It's logical. You see what I mean?
Okay.
One thing that I think we singers do is we give too much information as if they can't follow. People are smart. If you say you and then you get on my like comma, you get on my damn nerves, they'll understand because when you first say the thing, they're like, what the heck is that? All them damn letters. Because when I saw it, I was
Right,
like,
right, right.
I'm thinking this must be either this is a different language. I'm like, is this written in some sort of African language? Or I'm goofy like that. Or I'm thinking it's shortened like kind of like if you don't get your black, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Basically. So, so you don't have to say also known as. You can just say
Okay.
that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool, cool, cool. Any other thoughts about that?
Um, I feel like if I workshop it a little bit more and just kind of like think about just a bit more, there could be a way to, I guess, sneak in just like the black experience of like having a black mom that just is tired of you doing something and like having that like you get on my damn nerves like as a relatable sort of, I don't know, like analogy there, but and I guess that would make it a little bit more like friendly, a little bit more interactive in that way. But other than that, I can't really think of anything else that
Actually, that's a big deal because now we're getting into a bit more about who you are, moms, because you get on my
yeah.
you said how could we sneak that in there? I wouldn't sneak it in there. That's a big part of what it is. You
Okay.
and so if you're coming from the point of view of, let's say the trials and tribulations of Black people, why would you want to sneak that in there? That's not a small detail.
Right.
That's a big part of it
Right.
because that's how colloquialism. That's how we talk.
Right. Right. Right.
So you wouldn't want to sneak that in there because whatever your audience is, it's for them, and if they don't get it, it ain't for them. So
True.
you want to sneak that in there. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You see how we're all using the same tools, but if you use them authentically, it'll pull out something different. And by the way, didn't everybody prefer when she said it from her heart rather than reading it? As soon as we saw you reading, we gonna zone out.
Fair.
I came to hear you read. We came to hear you tell us who you are. We want to know.
Yes.
But people don't realize this, but when they go to a concert, they go to a concert to be changed, to be moved, not to be left indifferent. And so when somebody, and by the way, your job is not to make people like you. That is not your job because you have nothing to do with that. Your job is to let them know who you are, and then they can decide if they like you or not. But here's the thing, the best thing to be is either people are going to really like you or really hate you. But indifferent is no good. Indifferent is forgettable, which is why I call my this workshop Unforgettable Intros. You don't want to be forgettable. You do not. If somebody like has a strong reaction to you, that's a good thing, even if that strong reaction is negative. Okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Job.
Thank you.
Great job. I got time for one more. Alita, are you feeling up to it or you let me know? If
And well, enough to put myself on camera. All of a sudden, I don't know if that ever happened. And you like just out of the blue, just get sick. Like I got sick.
Oh, you're not, so you're not feeling well. Okay, if you want to skip that, you can skip it. I can open this up for
Well, I tried. I've been listening to the wonderful, brave ladies here,
yeah.
and I've been trying to work something up in my head. I like to give it a go.
Okay, so you're gonna just stay off camera. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes,
That's fine. That's fine.
go somewhere and get inside the house. I have to get some air.
Okay.
Just got lightheaded. Oh no.
All right.
Right.
Actually,
Okay.
the fact that you'll be off, well, no, I won't say anything. I'll let you do your thing.
Yes. Yes. This next song is it's a staple, a standard in my family. Just growing up listening to it was wonderful. It's one of my father's favorite songs. It was written and composed by Ralph Rayner and Leo Robin, and in 1936. But one of my favorite singers in the world sang it in 1966. Um, and I will be singing for you guys "If I Should Lose You" by Nina Simone.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So I hear someone who is, you sound like, first of all, you're from New York. Am I
Yes,
lying or am I lying? You from New York. I
not
love
at all.
it. Yeah. Okay. And I heard you say Robin is any relation to Ashley's family?
Could be. I don't know, right? Must
Okay.
we
Interesting.
we
Interesting.
wonder.
Okay. So you sound like somebody that's been doing this for a while. Would that be correct?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, you fooled me. You fooled me. Um, so what is you said this was sung by one of your favorite singers. Who is that?
Nina Simone.
Okay, Nina Simone. All right. And I'm just looking for something that's like, wow, or just a little more interesting that gives us a little more information about you. It's great that we know you like Nina Simone because Nina Simone is an acquired taste. Not everybody likes Nina Simone.
Right.
It's very particular. So that tells us something about your taste.
Hmm.
But I want something more like I could eat popcorn over. Um, where were you? What was it like when you first heard this song, or what was your reaction to the song? Something.
Okay. All right.
And to be fair, I know that you're not feeling well, but do you see kind of what I'm looking for?
Go a little deeper.
Yeah, a little deeper.
Okay. I can go a lot deeper.
Okay. Or like, let me ask
Uh,
you this. You said as you go to my head, right?
no, so I could go a lot deeper.
Yeah, no, no. The song is you go to my head.
No, if I should lose you.
Actually, Lord have mercy. Okay, it's the end of the day. It's almost 7:30 in the evening. I've been teaching all day, so please excuse me for me being a goldfish. Um, you said if I should lose you. Okay, so let me ask you, what does this song mean to you?
Okay, growing up and just listening to the song was just, if it could touch my soul, it became my song. I love it. And my dad has the same musical taste. And he would play the song a lot
Mhm.
amongst hundreds. And it just became a real staple in my life, just listening to it. Um, well, he passed away 2 years ago.
I'm sorry.
And this song has become a lot deeper to me
Mhm.
in person. And it therefore became one of my favorite songs. And it helps me to remember my dad.
Yeah.
So I will be singing "If I Should Lose You" by Nina Simone.
All right. See that intro right there? You could hear a rat pee on cotton. So quiet, like because you told us about the connection with this song with your dad.
Hmm.
What did I say? It's storytelling.
Yes.
Everybody's always going to be touched because, and by the way, condolences about the loss of your father.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But you see how she went for that vulnerable part. She let us into her personal story. And when you let people in, Yeah, goosebumps. Exactly. Ava just said goosebumps. That is something that's more powerful. Now, mind you, that wasn't necessarily research, but that is your story. It lets us know why you sing it. It lets us know why it's in your repertoire because that song is something you share deeply with your father. And, people who are lucky enough to have good relationships with their parents can understand that we share things with our parents. And when they're gone, those things even have more meaning. That was wonderful. That's the kind of I was joking when I said you could hear a rat pee on cotton, but it's like that kind of intro is going to be so, it's going to be quiet in the room. You literally get people to shut up and listen to you when you go that personal. So very good. Even though you're not feeling well. Now, the reason why I was saying it's even better that you're not on the screen is because we have nothing to get distracted by. We just have your voice. And there's so much information in your voice. There's so much command, you know. So that was wonderful. Really good job. Good job. You love the slogan. What slogan did I get? You talking about me or her, Alita?
The pill rat. I can't even remember the slogan. It was simple, but I can't even remember it about the rat and pilling and stuff like you could have rat pilling something.
Oh, I was saying that because your intro was so profound and it got people to be quiet that you could hear a rat pee on cotton. That's
I love that. I love that. I love that term.
because you're a New Yorker. People. I'm not from New York. I have family from New York. I'm from the East Coast, though. I'm from Philly.
I
But
understand
you
the
know,
way
we
she
tend to be very colorful in our descriptions of things. We don't really hold back. So it's that
you know
kind of
can I say the song and the way she sings it, you need everyone to just be quiet and pay attention.
right. And so your intro sets it up that way. You
Mm-hmm.
you've made sure that if anybody was distracted beforehand, they wouldn't be after that intro. They'd be ready to listen to you. So I already know that I would be like, okay, give it to me. I'll be ready to listen to that. Great job. So we're nearing the end, but I still have some things I want to say to you all. Is it okay for you if we go over a little bit? I know you all have things to do. I would love to know what questions you have.
Please.
What questions do you have about what we talked about today? It's relatively simple, and yet it's things that we just don't do. Any thoughts? Any questions?
I guess like how do you translate it more like if it's a song that you wrote yourself? Because these are all songs that someone else wrote, but
Yeah.
like how do you more so translate the who, what, when?
So, why did you write the song? In what circumstance did you write the song? In what time period? Did you write the song because you just got your heart broken? Did you write the song because you just got fired from your job and you found out you were getting evicted in the same day? All of those things build the story and it gives us context and it lets us, because you can imagine if you wrote a song on the day that you got evicted and lost your job, that song now has a very special meaning. So anybody else that not necessarily got evicted and fired on the same day, but had any sort of great adversity can now connect with you. So talking about the circumstances in which the song was written, did you write it for someone? Is there anything weird about the way you wrote the song? Like sometimes, let's say, um, sometimes you write songs starting with the bass line, and for some reason, this time, the song you started with the bridge. I don't know. I'm sort of making things up here, but the circumstances around the song, why you wrote the song, what the song means to you. That's another angle. So you kind of use the 4WC on your own songs, you know.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the date is not as important unless, again, of course, let's say it was 9/11. That's a memorable date. That has a meaning. Or some other, date like the day a certain person got elected to office again. Whatever, right? And you see how I said that the way I said it, whoever's going to understand it will understand it, and whoever won't understand it won't understand it. I also speak that way so that, I know who I'm speaking to. And, like I said, those who get it, and those who don't, won't. And that's okay too. That's just how I function. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, it helps. Thank
You
you.
know? So when I say research lightly, it's really just collecting your thoughts. But sometimes it is research, especially when you're doing standards. There's so many interesting stories surrounding standards,
Mm.
especially songs from the Great American Songbook. There's some really fascinating stories, whether it's who wrote it, why it was written, or who sang it, you know, or is there a famous recording, like let's say from Billie Holiday's album Lady in Satin. Um, what was one of the songs on that? I can't. I see the CD and I can't think of the song, but let's just say I'm talking about a song for that album. One of the really interesting things about the recording of that album is she always had this pitcher. It seemingly was a water pitcher, and in fact, it was full on vodka, drinking straight vodka during the entire recording. That's an interesting fact, I mean, if I walk by a pitcher of alcohol, of vodka, I'm gonna be over. It's done. I'm done. She was drinking straight a pitcher of vodka during that album recording, Lady in Satin. It's things like that if it speaks to you, you've got to talk about it. You absolutely have to talk about it because you're going to talk about it in such a different way. As I wrap up this portion of this part of our journey together, I'd like to know in the chat, go ahead and write your light bulb moments, the things that stood out to you, things you'd like to remember, things that you maybe shocked you, surprised you, or even things you may not agree with. All of it's good. Take a few minutes and write something in there, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about myself, and then I will let you go. And if you don't want to write it, you can also take the time to say it. Joanita, I hope I pronounced that right. You want to come on? Hey,
Yes, I do. Sorry, I'm in the kitchen, so
you're fine. You're fine. Wherever you come as you are. Did I pronounce your name right?
yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. What origin is that? Where are you from?
It's well, I'm from Uganda, but
Uganda.
Joanita or Juanita is a Spanish name.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yes, I do. So, and this question came from, I don't know, the gentleman before. It says iPhone, so I don't know, I don't know the name, but with the introduction telling the story about the relationship with his dad and how it's passed, and so the song has more meaning. It reminded me of situations I have when I'm performing and I'm introducing a song, and like sometimes it's a song I've written and maybe it came from a personal place or a personal experience.
Yeah.
But I've done it a number of times where I sort of gloss over the experience because maybe I'm afraid to be judged or but like that presentation before made me realize that sometimes it's better to actually speak about, I mean, not in extreme detail and tell names and everything, but like talk about what the experience actually is.
Yeah.
But my question is, how do you get over that fear of, if somebody knows that this is my experience, they'll judge me or they'll say this or that. How do you, yeah.
You know what? This before I answer your question, I want to say that the person you were referring to, his name is Elita, and she's saying I'm a girl, by the way. She
Oh,
has
okay. Sorry.
a rather deep voice, probably a contralto, if not,
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay.
the thing that you just said about getting over being judged, that is an important part of being an artist, any medium. When you create art, once you've created the art, it no longer belongs to you. It is out in the public, and people most certainly will judge. They will. So we have to figure out, do I care or not? Because people are going to judge. Once it's out there, it's out there. Otherwise, you're just making art in your garage and you just keep it to yourself. You see what I mean? So that's actually
Yeah.
part of the artist journey, is learning to say, hey, this is what I'm comfortable putting out here. Take it or leave it. And what I said, you may have missed it, but I think you were already in when I said this, is your job is not to be liked, dear. Your job is to share your experience, and you share as much as you want, as much as you want. That's up to you. But your job is just to make a difference, is to put your point of view out there, be heard, be seen, and then you go home and you live your life. And then people will do with that what they want. And that's sometimes it's hard to take, but you think about it. Let's take a prime example. You know, some people really, really are diehard fans of Beyonce. And some people critique even how she breathes. Beyonce, whether you like her or not, you cannot say that she's not an extremely professional artist. You can't say that. That would just be dishonest. You can not like her art, but you can't say that what she doesn't do to the highest degree of what's possible, because she's just all over everything. But not everybody likes her, and some people really, really hate her. But most people don't forget her. Your job is to make a statement, and to make a statement in the most authentic way possible. When people, I don't know about you, but when I meet people and you can tell they're holding back, and you're like, I don't know if I like you because I don't know who you are. You, I, so in the end, usually I wound up not liking you, but not even caring to not like you. It's like, huh, it's kind of like meh. When something's meh, you don't talk about it.
Oh, sure.
When you hate something, you talk about it. When you love something, you talk about it. And what is the best way to get your name out there? Having people talk about you. Who was
Yeah.
it that said the best publicity is negative publicity? Now, I'm not saying you want negative publicity, but I could tell you something. If you elicit such a negative response to people, you're doing something. So I'm not saying that the purpose of your art is to be reactionary, although that could be your thing. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when you do your art, hopefully it makes such a strong statement that people have to position themselves about it. They have to position themselves. If they don't position themselves, your statement was never heard. It's as if you didn't exist. And then what's the point? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And that it's not easy to live with, the fact that especially if you write your own songs, this is my baby, and you put your baby out there and they're like, your baby ugly. That's no fun. That's no fun. But that's a possibility. Okay. Any other comments or things, light bulb moments that you had that you can take away that you'll be using? Anybody? And thank you, by the way, Joanita, for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing your experiences.
You're welcome.
I had put it in earlier. I don't know if you saw it, but when you said something along the lines like indifferent is forgettable, but people come to be moved and changed, like that's something I'm gonna remember.
Yeah, that's absolutely that. Think about the concerts that you've gone to that are like, they blow your mind, and you leave the concert singing the last song. Like it's an earworm. Those concerts are never going to leave your head. They've changed you somehow. They've affected you in a way that that person has now become a part of your life in some way. And if you can do that as an artist, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. Great. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy lives to spend some time with little old me. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing your lovely people with me. This has been a wonderful, I hope you've enjoyed the coaching. I've enjoyed coaching you all. I want to wrap this up just by saying a little bit more about who I am and what I do, and why did I actually do this particular workshop. I am a vocal coach, but also a style vocal coach. And so what I do is I help people develop their unique styles. So I have a program that's called, oh my goodness, as I'm speaking to you, the name of my program just went out of my brain. The Signature Sound Academy. It happens. The Signature Sound Academy, where I help people. I give them all the same tools, but the same way that we did an unforgettable intro, I help you all find unforgettable ways to use to develop your style so that people don't forget you. People are like, oh, I know who that is. That's Ava, or that's Diana, or that's Neek, or whoever. And so if there's anybody, I'm going to put a link in here. If anybody's interested in exploring with me a little bit further the possibilities of a group coaching program, it's absolutely free. The meeting, you can go ahead and click that link and just set up a meeting. And by the way, if you are interested, you probably better click the link now, because once I close out Zoom, you won't have access to it. But I'd love to spend some time working with you if you're feeling like you'd like to have a bit more style and you'd like to develop that a bit more, and you like how I work, because the way that I did this class for intros, it's the same way I work to help you develop your own style if you haven't one developed already. So what else can I say? I guess that's the end of my presentation. It's been so nice getting to know you. Thank you for coming. And oh, you have something, Eva?
I would like to ask, is it like a group program you're offering, or is it one-to-one, or can you
Yes.
say a little bit more about this?
Sure, absolutely. This is a 10-week group program. And the reason why I like doing this in groups is because, as you can see, when I coach, it's often easier to see some of the mistakes and the solutions when you see somebody else doing it than on yourself. And so I've been finding that when I coach this way in a group setting, for not for vocal technique, this has nothing to do with vocal technique. I mean, we'll use some vocal technique, but it's not about vocal technique. In this way, people tend to learn faster, because again, you all have the same rules, and it's like, I'll give you an exercise because we do homework, and then you're like, with those rules, they did that. Wow, I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. And so not only does it spark, emulation, but also, a bit of innovation in how you treat a song, which is what I find is really, really important, because we always think there's one way to do something. If you've heard Aretha Franklin sing a song one way, then you're like, that's the only other way to sing it, until somebody comes along and does it a different way. Like, think about, remember, there was a Beyonce song. I can't think of the name of the song, but some girl, I think she was from the Philippines, came out and sang another version of it and like killed it. A deeper voice than, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but she was on The Voice, and this girl came out and just killed the song. And she did different runs than Beyonce, and they were spectacular. And you're like, when you hear a Beyonce song, you're like, who could do that better? And then someone came out and did a totally different version and made you rethink. You're like, okay, you can do other things with it. So that's how I work with my students. And I've developed a system that I call the 5 levers that we use to, levers like something that you pull in order to develop your particular sound. So yeah, does that answer your question, Ava?
Thank you. Yes.
So Joe, I need to ask, no, there's no recording. This will go on, this will probably, I have to check it out. It will probably go on YouTube. So you'll have access to it there, but I won't be sending it to you right away. I've got to do some editing and some things like that. But like I said, if anybody has any other questions or would like to explore a little bit more about style development, I would love to meet with you. So go ahead and click that link. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. And more than anything, I hope you go out and use this stuff, because it's really when I started doing this made a difference. I know people are probably not selling CDs as much anymore, but when I did this changed my shows. I would sell like 300 euros worth of CDs. after starting to do that. Whereas before I might sell 3 or 4 CDs, I started selling 20, 30 CDs a show, which is additional money, which is nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty then. Well, I'm gonna let you all go. I look
That is so early in the morning.
early in the morning.
The appointments.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Do you have my email? I can see if I can find something because I'm in France, but let me send you my email
That's beautiful.
and let's see what we can work out. Okay. Here you can copy it because I'm flexible.
Excellent.
You guys have that. So I'll give you all a second to copy down my email. Although you probably should have it because you got my reminder emails as well. All right.
Okay.
And then if you don't find anything that's suitable, then we she's like, that's early. We're not gonna be singing, we're just gonna be talking. All right. All right then. Well, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Ashley. You guys all have a beautiful day, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Bye.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Monique, this is really, really great.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.